There's a desire to release that belly, the belly fat, the visceral fat, easily and effortlessly. Thank you for the question. I love you. So, okay. So it's my pleasure to bring this forward. The feeling that is the antithesis of that beloved grace, that antithesis feeling like self-rejection and not liking the body and not good enough and insufficient and unsatisfied and unfulfilled. When that feeling surfaces, it is surfacing specifically for the purpose of being released. Now, at the end of yesterday, we did a healing for that where we flagged all those feelings, both in ourselves, I think, and also the ancestors. I think also ancestors got that. So that whenever those feelings arise, those feelings of I'm not good enough and I don't like myself, and, you know, so many hundreds of years ago, for a lot of us, our ancestors lived in a world where God was up there and we were down here and we were nothing compared to, you know, and we were sinners and we were disposable. That's part of the story, is how do we deal with those blocks of feelings? Because as the fat cells dissolve, they're little storage units, and they not only hold material like energy, but they also hold feelings. They hold subtle, they're multidimensional. They hold the multidimensional imbalances, including all these discordant feelings. And again, there'll be memory patterns and impressions and things like that as well. And so as the fat cells dissolve, those feelings start to come up more and more and more. And so I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who you start a diet and the first few days you're doing pretty good, you lose some pounds, it's pretty all right. And then after a week or 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, you get into 4 weeks, and it's like the weight of the emotional baggage that comes forward is just so burdensome that, and one knows, well, if I just eat a little bit of something that's very rich and sweet, I will not feel these emotions. So there's a tendency to go in that direction. However, the organ that regulates appetite is in the third ventricle of the brain. It's called the arcuate nucleus. And it sits in there along with a whole bunch of other organs that regulate a whole bunch of other things like body temperature and sexual appetite. And of course, the pituitary is right up in that area that regulates all your hormones, and the pineal gland is up there that regulates the sleep cycles. And so there's all these little, it's like a little control center, and it's right up back in there. And what I discovered since the last webinar, so this is new information for everyone, but it delighted me, it was another piece of the puzzle, another piece of the weight loss puzzle. And that was that if any one of those regulating mechanisms goes out of whack, it can cause the other ones to also go out of whack. Which is why sometimes if you're really tired and you didn't get a good enough night's sleep, you'll go around during the day eating because you keep thinking, oh, well, if I just put more fuel inside me, I'll have more energy, right? But of course it doesn't work. I mean, it just makes, yeah, right? Yeah, lots of hands going up there. So what do? Let's do a healing. Let's do a healing for our third ventricle, shall we? We love our third ventricle. Mother Divine loves our third ventricle. And we can bring in that, okay. So every part of the body has an overseeing intelligence. I call that, with the Vedic term, Devata. But it really means a kind of angelic presence. So your liver has its angelic presence, and your vocal mechanism has its angelic presence, and your third ventricle has its angelic presence. And that angelic presence, right now, for everyone desiring, is being integrated with blessed, with beloved grace, and with that aspect of the causal, because the overseeing intelligence of the Devata, of your different organs, are also causal forms. So you've got your causal body, and down in the causal body, there is this area for that love of the mother of creation, that love of Mother Divine, and all the laws of nature are there supporting and enhancing and providing and sustaining that love for you and in your pure potential. But what we're doing is we're bringing together that with the overseeing intelligence of the third ventricle of the brain. Because if all of the regulating mechanisms need to be good. This is what I figured out since the last webinar, that it's not enough to do a healing just for the arcuate nucleus. Because the arcuate nucleus could feel fine and feel really strong. And then the pineal gland goes out because you weren't getting enough sleep. And then it's like, well, who around here is strong that can take up the slack? Oh, you, arcuate nucleus, you pick up the slack. It's like, no, wait, I was doing fine regulating the appetite. So they all have to come into balance. So this is a healing not just for appetite and for supporting your ability to feel so beloved. Oh, there was another realization, and that was that there a lot of the organs in the third ventricle of the brain are not fully understood by modern scientists yet. There are a lot of the really little things, you know, these little tiny little dots inside our brain, right? But I am certain that either there's a specific one, or there could be like a synergistic combination of those regulating organs. Not being a neuroscientist, thank you, I'm being a little vague here, but that their job is to regulate emotional balance. Oh, because how many people had the experience of like doing something or facing some situation that was emotionally challenging, and then thinking, if I eat something sweet, that's going to make me feel better, right? Right? So yeah, lots of hands go up. All the hands go up, right? Yeah, so this is the thing, is that we're doing this healing. But so how are we doing the healing? Exactly, mechanics. Awareness goes to the third ventricle. The third ventricle of your brain is a little area. It's about, it's kind of like about that big. And it's right in the smack in the center. And it's right above the brainstem where you make dopamine. And so make you feel good. It makes you feel good, right? Because the dopamine production is right there. So you've got the brainstem like this, and you've got the third ventricle, like if we're looking this way, right? So I've got my brainstem's coming up here, and then my third ventricle is just right in front of it like that. So getting the awareness in there to the third ventricle. And you notice when you put your awareness into the third ventricle, already the third ventricle starts to go, ooh, ooh. It's like a little massage, right? Just like if you feel like, oh, somebody's looking at me, and then you turn around, they're looking at you, because awareness touches whatever it goes to. So we're touching our third ventricle in there. And all the little regulating organs are going, woo! And they each have their little devata, right? The arcuate nucleus and the pineal gland and the pituitary and all the others that are in there whose names I have not memorized. They all have their little intelligences. And all we're doing is settling our awareness back into, we touch, and then we go back to the source of creation. And then we just allow the flow of love to come forward, because we've already done the healings for the flow of love, right? So the love of Mother Divine just fills up that space. And what this is going to feel like as we're doing it, I'll just let you feel it for a minute. It's delicious, isn't it? It's absolutely delicious. Who needs to eat food? This is just delicious. I love you guys. I love this question so much, so much, so much. If any people who have any of the listeners today have issues with weight, but have had a time in their life when they were not overweight, you might recall feeling delicious and feeling beloved. Yeah. That one of the things that lots of hands go up. Yeah, one of the things that allows you to eat in a way that you feel satisfied and you feel like you're eating everything that you need and that you're getting what you want, but at the same time, eating the amount that is appropriate to sustain the body at the most healthy weight, was that feeling of being completely safe in your skin, being completely beloved, completely precious, completely adored. I have another theory on that that's related to planetary influences, but it's not, it just started rising this morning. It's not evolved enough. Another piece of that puzzle. So I hope to bring that out in a future webinar. But for now, I just want to say to all of you, may you be in that state of being beloved always. Always. And when you find yourself in that state always, and that's that beloved, it's like right in the middle of the brain. We think of it like, oh, it's like an angel guide that's with me who's producing this air of being beloved around me, but really you're self-producing it within your own brain. Sometimes things, it's like there's a reflective relationship between what happens in here and what happens out here. So you experience it in both places. This integrates it. It integrates. Lots of hands going up. I love you guys. All right. So may everybody who watched today's webinar start shedding those pounds. Who wants to? Of course. Not for those who are trying to put on weight. If you're trying to put it on, if you're really working to put it on, may you put on weight.